Okay, we're live.
Thank you, Darlene.
You're welcome.
It's 1:02. Good afternoon, folks. This is the Committee on Transportation. And this afternoon in our schedule, we have one piece of legislation, and that is LD 1796, an act to coordinate marine port development. Before we get going, I'd like to introduce folks on the committee. Senator Farren.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman. My name is Brad Farren. Excuse me. I live in Norridge Walk, and I have the distinct pleasure to represent the majority of Somerset County in the town of Rome and Kennebec County.
Thank you. Representative Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm Lynn Williams. I represent the towns of Bar Harbor, Mount Desert, Lemoyne, and now the Cranberry Isles.
Thank you, Representative Williams. Representative Bryant.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm Mark Bryant. I represent House District 24, part of the town of Wyndham. Welcome all.
Representative O'Connell.
Thank you, sir. It's Kevin O'Connell, District 128, most of the city of Brewer.
Thank you, Representative. Senator Ben Chipman.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Ben Chipman, State Senator for District 27, which is part of the city of Portland.
Thank you, Representative White.
Thank you, Chairman Martin. And I am Bruce White. I represent District 109, which is about half of Waterville.
Representative Dustin White.
Not available.
Representative Seabrook.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman. I'm Representative Rich Seabrook. I represent District 68, the lovely towns of Naples, Sebago, Boulder, and Cornish.
Thank you, Representative. Representative Tom Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon. My name's Tom Martin. I represent House District number 92, which is Green and Sabattis.
All right. Did I forget anyone?
Yes, you did, me.
Oh,
This is representation number 77 in Oakland in Sydney.
our good committee lead. Thank you, Representative. Also joining us is obviously our clerk, Darlene Simino, Sam Prowler, our analyst, and is Julia with us. Julia's here as well. Good afternoon, folks. Just a reminder that we're hosting this public hearing by way of Zoom. You can be seen, you can be heard, so be cautious. First bill and the only bill, as I mentioned at the onset, is LD 1796, an act to coordinate marine port development. That is my piece of legislation, and very briefly, I will turn over the gavel to Senator Farren. Senator Farren.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Let's open the public hearing on LD 1796. And we will have the bill sponsor. Please present the bill.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Farren and members of the Committee on Transportation, I am Representative Danny Martin, and I am pleased to present LD 1796, an act to coordinate marine port development. LD 1796 is a bill that is being submitted by the Maine Department of Transportation. It proposes changes to the sections of statutes that pertain to waterborne transportation and the Maine Marine Port Authority. The purpose of this bill is to promote continued coordination and collaboration between MDOT and the Maine Port Authority. Commissioner Van Note, as I understand, is here as well to speak in more detail about this legislation. It's also my understanding that the department and the commissioner will be offering an amendment to LD 1796. I'd be more to attempt to answer any questions you may have, but again, our good commissioner is here with us and is, I'm sure, better informed than I am on this piece of legislation. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Representative Martin. Do any members of the committee have questions for Representative Martin? I see none. Well, they let you off the hook pretty easy there, Representative Martin.
Great. That's great.
Yeah. Are there any other co-sponsors?
There are none.
None. There are none. So with that, we will move on to those speaking in favor of LD 1796. And I believe we have the distinguished commissioner for Maine Department of Transportation here. That would be you, Commissioner.
You threw me off with the distinguished part, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and all members of the committee. I am Bruce Van Note. I'm the Commissioner of Maine DOT, and I'm before you today in that capacity. I statutorily chair the Board of Directors of the Maine Port Authority, but I am here in the capacity of the Commissioner, and the Vice Chair of the authority will be testifying after me. We thought it was important to demonstrate to the committee that both Maine DOT and the Maine Port Authority in full alignment on this bill, so we're doing it in that fashion. As normal Chair Martin expressed, the purpose of the legislation is to promote continued coordination and collaboration between the Maine Port Authority and Maine DOT. I really classify this as more of a housekeeping update piece of legislation than anything really dramatic. Just over the course of the last few years, since I got back to DOT and we were working through some issues, we actually compared the statutes of the enabling legislation, the Maine Port Authority and the Maine DOT, and there's substantial overlap, as you might imagine. The Maine Port Authority actually dates all the way back, has its statutory origins back to 1929, when it was first established as the Port of Portland Port Authority. It has gone through literally probably dozens of statutory tweaks as it evolved. And in fact, Maine DOT didn't exist statutorily till 1971. Before that, it was the State Highway Commission. So you can see how two things happening in parallel could cause some overlap. I'll go over, we are submitting an amendment that for your consideration that we'd already provided to Sam. The original legislation plus the amendment are doing 5 basic things. The first is to clarify and somewhat narrow the scope of the Maine Port Authority's kind of jurisdiction, as you will. I did not realize till I got into readings, both enabling legislation. Obviously, the Maine Port Authority, most people think of marine ports, salt water. It was not so limited. It just said ports. And in in more recent times, people talk of things like inland ports, which we might call an intermodal facility or a transload facility. And so there was some question, is that within Port Authority jurisdiction or not? And marine or saltwater ports has always been and continues to be the focus of the Maine Port Authority. It also attempted to clarify there are other pieces of multimodal infrastructure that can directly affect port operations. If you think of the rail coming down onto the port property and directly serving it, that's obviously something that a port authority would be interested in. And so this the amendment added language talking about what multimodal pieces of infrastructure would be within the scope of the Port Authority jurisdiction. I will tell you that that language is intentionally not specific. Like, it doesn't say, rail infrastructure within X miles of the port or anything like that, because we all wanted the interaction. If the Maine Port Authority thought that there was something that was happening on the rest of the transportation system that directly affects that port's operations, DOT wants to know about it. And if it's another group that's talking about it, we wanted to have that kind of interaction. So that's the biggest thing, that it just makes clear that the Maine Port Authority's focus is on Maine marine ports. You'll find that in sections 1 through 4 of the bill, where that tries to make that clarification. It also made clear that a marketing program, any marketing program it does, will be for all the 3 major ports and not just Eastport. So that's kind of an update that just makes perfect sense. That's in section 4 of the bill. In section 5 of the bill, it clarifies the board's role in employees and setting of compensation and those kinds of things, which again are pretty standard. And it says that the board hires the executive director, and the executive director can hire others subject to broad compensation and fringe benefits approved by the board. Again, not earth shattering at all. And finally, it does some annual, in the last section of the bill, section 6, it talks about kind of annual coordination. One is with this committee, to give an annual report to this committee. I would probably guess that there are some members of the committee that have not received or recall, the latest kind of update from the board as to what's going on, how it's meeting its strategic goals and what it's trying to do. I think that's an important part of our infrastructure, and an annual report to this committee would be beneficial. And lastly, it also clarifies that if Maine Port Authority operations and their plans call for expending of resources that are within the jurisdiction of DOT, like our capital plans and our funding, that those amounts have to be presented to DOT and approved annually. That's just making sure the left hand, right hand knows what's coming up and making sure that we have an integrated transportation system. So that's what the bill does. I have a tendency to oversimplify, and marine ports to me are either spigots or funnels in a system of hoses. It's either stuff coming in or stuff going out. The hoses can be roads, the hoses can be rail. So it has to act as a system. So close coordination between the two is important. I think this bill strengthens that. And so I'm supportive of this bill and the amendment, and hope the committee will be as well. So with that, I have nothing further, and would be happy to answer any questions from committee members.
Thank you, Mr. Commissioner. I see Representative Seabra has a question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good afternoon, Commissioner Van Note. Good to see you. So in reading the department's, hold on a second, let me pull it up here. Reading the department's amendment, the terms that I really have an issue with are all related to related. Related infrastructure is a fairly broad sort of catch-all phrase. Is there a way to define what in other intermodal related infrastructure is, so that it's pretty clear? I don't mind giving you a wide berth in this, but what I do mind is the next guy who can interpret that to be just about anything that could be even remotely related.
Yeah, actually, it's an excellent question. We actually wrestled with that a little bit. And so I think it's insightful to focus in on that. Stepping back, overall, this amendment would narrow, if you will, the scope of what the Port Authority is doing by making it clear it's marine ports. So inland ports or transload facilities are not directly within the jurisdiction of the authority moving forward. In terms of what multimodal infrastructure related, associated with a marine port is kind of within their jurisdiction, as I tried to explain, we did keep it vague on purpose because it would facilitate cross communication when there's something coming up. However, as I focus in on that, one thing, if you see on the first section of the bill, where it talks about modifying, what railroads are we talking about? And it says railroads that directly support marine port operations. That might be that's kind of the same thing that might apply to all multimodal stuff. It's like if it directly supports the operations of that port. In other words, if you don't have this rail line coming in, the port isn't working. Or if you don't have other associated infrastructure, the port isn't working. That's the only thing I can think of, Representative, as something. It adds the word, as opposed to related multimodal infrastructure, which, as I say, was intended to be intentionally vague, if you will. If you wanted to nail that down a little bit more, it's the stuff that directly supports marine port operations. The focus of the Port Authority is on marine port, saltwater ports. And if there's other infrastructure that directly supports those operations, I want the authority to be engaged in that. So I'd be glad to work with, the analysts or anything, depending on what the thoughts of the committee are. But that's the only thing I could think of that was already in the legislation that highlights a little bit more the definition of what related meant.
Mr. Chairman, a follow-up?
Absolutely.
Okay, thanks. So why not say, I'm just saying we could work on this, we could work on this amendment, but why not just say directly? I mean, was there a reason to leave it the way you left it, or was it kind of just?
No, I'll let the vice chair, who's going to speak for the rest of the committee, but I know from being two sides. First of all, the original bill, I will take responsibility for before the amendment. I mean, cloture was way back in September, and the board hadn't had a chance to meet as a group and have a detailed conversation of this till much later. So consider the original as a placeholder, because that's what it was, because I suspected there might be a need to clarify, but I didn't know exactly what. And the other language in the amendment was done in a discussion of the board. I was okay with it because I have a certain level of trust, but as was, with the board and, this agency, but I understand your perspective and I'm very open to it. And so if there's any revisions that the committee as a whole likes the idea of adding directly or focus on port operations, that's all, I'm open to it. This was intended to be, it's more just clarifying, everybody knows who's doing what, where the lanes aren't nice set marker that are absolutely, you cannot cross. That's intentional. And that's because any transportation system works as a whole. You have spigots, you have funnels, and you have hoses, and through which people and goods move. And you can't have one without the other. So, but very open, and I think it was a good question.
Thank you, Mr. Commissioner. Representative Williams.
Thank you, Senator Farren. Hello, Mr. Commissioner. I'm going to ask a few questions together because they're interrelated. Why do we have a port authority? What can they do that the DOT cannot do, if that's the reason that they have more authority? What are their powers, if any, that the DOT doesn't have? And then sort of a related thing, does the Port Authority have to follow open meeting laws and FOIA laws?
Thank you, Representative. I'll take those in turn. The first two, as you indicated, do kind of go together. Why and what can they do? A port authority, just the same way we have a passenger rail authority, sometimes you need to focus on certain modes. They need entities that are focusing on them alone, especially when there's specific nature of that mode of transportation that is really kind of unique to that mode. I mean, international travel, saltwater travel, Jones Act. I don't want to embarrass myself in front of the vice chair. She could talk about this much better than I could, given her background. But maritime, I grew up in Bath. Maritime law is its own thing. How that mode is its own thing. And so expertise in that area is important that you probably aren't going to get in a commissioner of transportation or even people working there because of its specific nature. What they can do that DOTs can't, the nature of this business sometimes involves confidential communications with business entities that are private. whether it's, shippers or port operators or those kinds of things. As we all know, an email comes to my inbox and it might as well be printed on the front page of the paper, right? Because that's the nature of it. Sometimes when you are having initial conversations, just feeling stuff out, that just doesn't work for private businesses. That doesn't mean it's secret, it's just exploratory kind of information. So in the same way, a lot of municipalities have economic development corps to have those kind of conversations and then bring it to the electeds. That's a function that the Maine Port Authority can perform. They also have powers to issue their own bonds based on revenue streams, which is, which is advantageous if the Port Authority can, through expenditure of capital or leases or otherwise, create revenue streams. They could provide a way to self-fund themselves through bonds. That has not happened yet in my tenure in the last 20 years, but that authority's been around for a long time. So that's one of the powers that it can do. Yes, as a quasi-public board, they are subject to FOA and all those same information, but the nature is we are trying to attract business and private investment. And the reality is private entities are more comfortable probably talking to the executive director of a port authority than a commissioner of transportation, just because they get to feel things out and find out what's, viable and what's not. So in the same way we have economic development corps, municipalities, I see the Maine Port Authority as the Marine Port Economic Development type arm of the Department of Transportation. It very quickly gets, things very quickly get public, just so you know. I mean, because the Port Authority only collects somewhere in the range of $2.5 million a year or something right now, based on some wharfage fees in Sears Port and some box fees down at the IMT. So that's not enough, money to change the world, but it does, again, give focus to this very critical component of the transportation system. And that's why, by the way, I asked that very question when I was looking at these enabling legislation, why and the history. And I came to the balanced conclusion that it's continued, it should continue and assist and coordinate just the way other authorities do. So I hope that answers most of your questions.
Thank you.
Representative Martin, you ready to take back over?
No, you're doing a great job, Senator. Just FYI, the work session on this piece of legislation is scheduled for Thursday afternoon, this Thursday. And Representative Seabra, you might want to take an opportunity to communicate with the commissioner prior to Thursday to see if we can work this language out. And Senator Farren, just for your information and for the record, you did co-sponsor this piece of legislation. And as we ask other folks to share their thoughts out, we have two individuals that do want to testify in support of this piece of legislation. One from the Marine Port Authority and another individual from the Portland Regional Chamber of Commerce. I just wanted to share that with you because I didn't know if you had that information, Senator.
I do not, but I see any other questions for the commissioner before we move on? Because I understand we have the vice chair of the Maine Port Authority here to testify in favor. If you would introduce yourself and give us your testimony.
Good afternoon. Yes, thank you very much. I don't believe Senator Diamond has joined us, but thank you, Representative Martin, Representative Farren. I'm sorry, Senator Farren. I appreciate the time to step in. My name is Elena Schweitzer. I am the Vice Chair of the Maine Port Authority. I am also a faculty member at Maine Maritime Academy, and I work in port operations, hence being on the board. And Commissioner Van Note kind of not wanting to overstep, but the real reason that I'm here today is to affirm the support that the Maine Port Authority has for your consideration of this legislation. The way that it's proposed, it is hoping to allow the continued communication and strength between the Maine DOT and the Maine Port Authority. The Port Authority operates as a quasi-public-private entity because the hope is that it is able to help drive business and create revenue streams that are going to benefit the people of Maine. The focus here is really making sure that we're looking at Eastport, Searsport, and Portland. As a board, we support the initiative and appreciate the consideration of the language changes, noting the comments before about direct multimodal access. When we were looking at this, the challenge with ports is that there are a variety of infrastructure requirements that feed into them and that allow both commerce and trade and freight to come into the port as well as leaving the port. And it's not always easily defined. And so I think we erred on something that was slightly more encompassing, but I understand the thought that was being brought. And I certainly support, working through that language to make it be something that is applicable. The collaborative relationship between the Port Authority and Maine DOT for us is critical. It ensures the needs of our states are being met. It's also affirming that relationship and the Maine Port Authority's commitment to our marine ports and the related multimodal infrastructure. We have to maintain this to be able to continue to drive the development and the prosperous opportunities that we can have on our ports, both today and in the future. And I really thank you all for allowing me to be here and part of this testimony. And I appreciate your careful consideration of this legislation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do any of the committee members have any questions? Seeing none, they're letting you off the hook. Thank you so much for being here today. I believe our next, yeah, okay, I've got it down here. Mr. Dundon with the Portland Chamber of Commerce. Please introduce yourself and tell us why you support this bill.
Yes, good afternoon, Senator Farren, Representative Martin, and members of the Transportation Committee. My name is Eamon Dundon. I'm the Director of Advocacy at the Portland Regional Chamber. We represent about 1,300 businesses in the communities of Portland, South Portland, Cape Elizabeth, Scarborough, Gorham, Westbrook, Falmouth, and Cumberland, who employ about 65,000 Mainers. And I am here today in support of this bill. As the Commissioner noted, it's mostly a housekeeping bill to clarify a number of things and solidify a number of activities that I believe have already been undertaken by these two entities. But any chance we can get to center the discussion on marine ports in front of this committee, I think it's a good one. So the Port of Portland is an economic engine for our region, and thanks to the investments and partnerships from the legislature, the Maine Department of Transportation, the Maine Port Authority, and the City of Portland, we have seen historic investment in the port over the last 15 years that has significantly expanded its marketability as a deep water, ice-free port with multimodal connections up and down the coast and to interior New England and Canada, as well as transatlantic maritime connections to Scandinavia and Western Europe. This bill enhances that partnership and great work to allow for more coordination between MDOT and the Port Authority, which will lead to more investment and opportunity for Portland, Eastport, and Searsport. We hear from our members consistently that one of their greatest fears emerging from the pandemic is the continued disruptions to supply chains, which will inhibit their ability for their businesses to compete in the global marketplace. So we need resilient multimodal infrastructure, like the Commissioner and the Vice Chair have talked about today, with increased capacity for both the import of foreign goods and the export of Maine products. With world-class cold storage on the horizon for the Port of Portland at the IMT, we are closer than ever to being able to offer comprehensive cargo solutions for Maine businesses, but that will not happen without sustained attention and investment from the state in our port infrastructure. So thank you for listening to me today. I'm happy to answer any questions. And on behalf of the Portland Regional Chamber, I ask that you please support LD 1796.
Thank you very much for that. Committee members, any questions? Wow, seeing none. They're letting you off easy. That's good. I do not believe we have anybody else testifying in favor.
We do not.
And is there anybody wanting to testify opposed?
There are none.
Is there anybody that would like to testify neither for nor against?
There are none.
Well, with that being said, then I will close the public hearing on LD 1796 and turn back over to Representative Danny Martin.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Senator Farren, you did an outstanding job. Thank you very much for helping me out here this morning. Julia McDonald. Julia, are you available?
Yes. Hello,
Julia,
Representative Martin.
Is there anything else that we need to discuss this afternoon? I think we're all set, but I just wanted to see if you had anything.
Not that I'm aware of.
And we're all set to work on this Thursday afternoon. Correct?
Yes.
Thank you, Julia. Darlene, we all set?
We're all set.
With that in mind, folks, thank you very much for your cooperation and your thoughts and questions and ideas. And I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Motion has been made, seconded. All in favor, just raise your hands. I guess we're all set. We'll see you folks Thursday afternoon. Thank you so much.
Thank you all.
All right.
Thank you.
See you.
Thank you.
Told you it wouldn't be long.
Right. I made it home just in time.
I know you did. I
Yeah.
saw that.
Bye now.
Bye.
Are we done?
We are done.
I was on the phone and missed
You know, you can go back and watch it on YouTube.
it.
It may not
All
show
right.
up till tomorrow, but you can go back and watch it.
All right, thank you very much. I'll
Oh,
see
you're
you,
welcome.
See you Thursday. What are we looking at on Thursday?
This Thursday, we're working this bill and. So this one we just heard, then allow the Secretary of State to use the electronic lien titling program. And then the one that we carried over, the reconstruction of Route 161 from Fort Kent to Caribou.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and then that LD 284 that's sitting out on the appropriations tables. That's got to do with inspection stickers
Oh, yeah. Okay.
for 2 years. I don't know if that's Seaber's bill or it's one of those inspection
Okay.
sticker bills.
All right. And Darlene, thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Take
Did you-
care.
You too.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye. Oh. You got on. Can you hear me, Bill?
Yeah, I got it. Yes.
You got on just as I was getting ready to hit the end button. We're all done.
You're all done?
We're done. We had 3 people.
Nice.
Nice.
Perfect. Well, that's a nice, I knew it was going to be short. I didn't realize it would be that short.
Well, I didn't either. I knew it was going to be short too, but yeah,
Yeah.
we only had the 3.
Yeah. Good. So we're all set then for, did Dan go over what's happening on Thursday?
He just told everybody we were having a work session.
Yeah.
I explained to a few people what it was. That's why we're still on. Hey, yeah, so I think everybody's all set on that.
Okay.
So the House Republicans want to use this room to caucus on the 10th. Are you doing a, be good because we're live. Are you doing a legislative auction thing?
We're doing the scholarships, the 10th. We're doing those that at, well, we're going in at 2 on the 10th.
Yeah,
So we're probably doing, what, did they have a time when they wanted to use it?
they said 1 o'clock.
You know what, let's let them use it. We'll find another location. We've only got four or five people.
Okay.
So I'll get Donna to find us another room because the Democrats are gonna have the taxation.
Right.
I'll give that some thought, talk to Donna, but yeah, let them have it. That's
Let them
good.
have it? Okay, I just
Is
wanted
this
to
the
make
Senate-
sure.
Senate D's, Senate R's, or is it the House?
A house.
House, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, let them have it. That's good. And then we'll find another place for the 5 or 6 of us at a meeting.
Okay, you can probably get that little conference room just down the hall here, right
Yeah,
across from
very
HR.
good. Yeah, who has to arrange that? I mean, how do
Donna.
Who? Donna?
Donna. Yep.
Oh, perfect. All right, good. I'll do that right now.
Okay, very good.
Thank you.
We're all set, I think.
All right, I'll see you Thursday anyway.
All right. Oh, you're going to be here Thursday?
I'm
This
sure.
Thursday?
I'll see you on video.
Oh, okay. Very good. See ya.
All right, see ya. Bye.
Bye.